The Baltimore Ravens are quietly building something dangerous, and most fans have absolutely no idea what's coming on draft night. The wide receiver the Ravens are secretly obsessed with. Let me paint you a picture. A wide receiver walks into Baltimore's facility. Calm, confident, built like a problem. And the moment the Ravens coaching staff sees him move, they know. This guy fits. That receiver is Denzel Boston out of Washington. And right now, he is on a pre-draft visit tour that has brought him straight to Baltimore's doorstep, and that is not a coincidence. Ian Rappaport confirmed it. Boston visited the Panthers just one day before showing up in Baltimore. So the question everybody should be asking is, why is this kid visiting two teams back-to-back this close to draft weekend? Because teams do not waste visits on players they are not genuinely serious about. Now here is where it gets really interesting. The Ravens front office, led by DeCosta, has always treated the NFL draft like a dartboard. More darts, more chances to hit the bullseye. DeCosta has said this himself, on camera, in interviews. He believes the draft has a significant luck element to it, and his strategy has consistently been to trade back, stack picks, and throw more darts than everybody else. So what does that mean for Denzel Boston? If Baltimore trades back into the late 20s, Boston will almost certainly still be sitting right there waiting. And at that point, the Ravens would be getting a player that genuinely fits their receiver room better than almost anyone else in this entire draft class. Here is why Boston is such a perfect fit. The man is big, physical. He plays with that rare my ball attitude, the same mentality that made DeAndre Hopkins one of the most feared receivers of his generation. Any ball that goes up in the air, Boston believes it belongs to him, and he plays every single rep like he is ready to prove it. His numbers at Washington back it up too. 881 yards last season, 11 touchdowns, and get this, only 2 drops all year. Over his last 2 college seasons combined, he hauled in over 125 receptions for more than 1,600 yards with just 5 total drops. His drop rate sits at just 3.1%. Scouts have called his hands vacuum-like. The ball just does not hit the ground when it goes his way. And beyond the stats, Boston grew into a genuine leadership presence at Washington. The character reports are clean. The work ethic checks out. This is not just a raw athletic project. This is a polished receiver who plays bigger than the moment. So here is your first comment challenge of the day. If the Ravens trade back and grab Denzel Boston, are you happy with that move? Drop a yes or a no in the comments right now. I want to see where Ravens fans actually stand on this. But hold on, because the wide receiver story is just the beginning. Wait until you hear about the blockbuster trade idea that has the entire Ravens fanbase split right down the middle. The trade that will start a war in the comments section. Fox Sports recently put out a piece suggesting a trade that would send Kayvon Thibodeaux from the New York Giants to the Baltimore Ravens. In return, New York gets a 2026 third-round pick and a 2027 fifth-round pick. Now before you form your opinion, just hear this out, because the situation around Thibodeaux is way more complicated than people think. When Thibodeaux was in his second NFL season, he was an absolute nightmare for opposing offenses. 11.5 sacks, 50 tackles, 16 quarterback hits, 3 forced fumbles. The Giants looked like geniuses for taking him with a top 5 pick in the 2022 draft. He looked like a franchise cornerstone edge rusher. And then everything fell apart. Injuries hit. Consistency disappeared. Over the last 2 seasons combined, Thibodeaux managed only 8 total sacks. For a player drafted that high, with that kind of early promise, those numbers are genuinely painful to look at. But here is the part that changes the entire conversation. Baltimore's new head coach Jesse Minter. This man just took an edge rusher in Azeez Al-Shah who many people had written off and turned him into a legitimate force. The system Minter runs, the development environment he creates, it is exactly the kind of situation that could resurrect Thibodeaux's career. Think about it this way. Is Thibodeaux, even at 70% of his peak, better than whatever edge rusher Baltimore could realistically draft in rounds 2 or 3? That is the real question. Because when this guy is locked in and healthy, he has already shown the entire NFL what he is capable of. The Ravens' edge room right now has Trey Hendrickson, which is excellent. Mike Green entering year 2 with high expectations. Davius Robinson holding it down as a solid contributor. But after that, the depth falls off a cliff. Adisa Isaac has been invisible. The production simply is not there behind the top guys. Adding Thibodeaux for a 3rd and a 5th. That is a calculated gamble, but it is the kind of gamble that championship contending teams make when they see an opportunity to add proven talent at a discount. Rhetorical question time. How many teams have won a Super Bowl with a perfectly safe, perfectly predictable roster? None. The bold moves are what separate the champions from the almost there teams. Here is your comment challenge. Would you accept this trade or decline it? Drop an A for accept or a D for decline in the comments. Let the debate begin. But before we close out, the Ravens made another visit today that nobody is really talking about, and there is a very specific reason why it matters heading into draft weekend. The tight end visit nobody is talking about. Oscar Delp, Georgia tight end. 3rd round projection. And he was in Baltimore today for a pre-draft visit. Now, one look at his college stat line and you might roll your eyes. 261 yards in his final season. 248 the year before that. 284 the year before that. None of those numbers are going to make anyone jump out of their chair. But here is what the raw stats are hiding. Oscar Delp was playing in one of the most run-heavy, quarterback-limited offenses in college football. Mike Bobo ran that Georgia offense. Gunnar Stockton was the quarterback. Neither of those situations were built to make a tight end look explosive as a pass catcher. What scouts are actually projecting with Delp is a player whose pro ceiling is significantly higher than his college production suggests. He is described as a reliable, accountable professional, a guy who shows up, does his job, never causes problems, and can develop into a genuine receiving threat over time. His inline blocking is already considered NFL ready. However, and this is important, the Ravens already have tight end needs that are very real, and this draft class is loaded at the position. Players like Kenyon Sadiq, Eli Stowers, Michael Trigg, and Justin Jolly all bring more immediate receiving upside to the table. If Baltimore is going to spend a day 2 pick on a tight end, the return on investment needs to be clear. Delp is a projection pick, a developmental piece. Whether that fits what the Ravens actually need right now is a completely fair debate to have. Drop the name of the tight end you want the Ravens to draft in the comments. No wrong answers. Let's see who Ravens fans are actually targeting. But the most important story of the day is still coming, because Baltimore has a serious draft problem that has been building for years, and if Eric DeCosta does not fix it this April, it becomes impossible to ignore. Baltimore's draft problem that can no longer be ignored. The Baltimore Banner recently published a breakdown of late-round draft pick success rates across the entire NFL. And when you look at where the Ravens land on that chart, it is genuinely alarming. Baltimore has used more day 3 picks than almost any other team in the league over the past several years. They have leaned into that dartboard philosophy harder than almost anybody. And the return on those late-round investments has been seriously underwhelming. Yes, there have been hits. Teddy Buchanan has contributed. Davius Robinson has been a solid piece. Jordan Stout has been excellent at punter. Isaiah Likely in 2022 showed real flashes. But here is the problem. Almost all of those hits were 4th-round picks. The 4th round is basically a late day 2 selection. The real separator in NFL roster building is rounds 5, 6, and 7. That is where the hidden gems live. That is where teams find the players nobody else believed in, the guys who become Pro Bowlers and starters that cost almost nothing against the salary cap. Baltimore has not cracked that code consistently. And in a league this competitive, where margins are razor thin, that inefficiency in the late rounds has a real cost over time. This draft, DeCosta and the Ravens front office have to be smarter, more targeted, and more aggressive about developing those late-round picks into actual contributors. The window with Lamar Jackson is wide open right now. Every single pick matters. So here is the final question to close this out. Who is your sleeper pick that you think Baltimore can grab in round 5, 6, or 7 that nobody is talking about? Drop the name in the comments. Light it up. The Ravens draft is coming fast. The visits are happening. The board is being set. And when Baltimore steps to the podium on draft night, it better be with a plan that goes all the way to the final pick. Stay locked in. This is only just getting started.